Now, I'm not going to lecture you about climate change, but it is an enigma on what that end result will be within the next few thousand years. All I can say is I personally have experienced some unusual storm events in the short period of time that I've been alive, and I'm only 31 at the time of this video. So I do believe that global warming is a geocatastrophe of our own making. I no longer have doubt that we are disrupting the jet stream flows and bending the polar vortex, causing fluctuations in temperature, but with an overall warming causing intensity in storms. Karma is starting to catch up to us due to our original sin for power. I believe global warming could be a sign of the beginning of the end times for our civilization. In Alita's world, there's this idea of the terraforming wars. This is exactly what's happening. We are like aliens terraforming this planet and competing for space and resources, as we see between the formation of superstates like Russia and the EU. So these geopolitical and economic forces are having a side effect that's becoming more of a paradox that we may not be able to get out of, due to geography, climate, technological limitations, and sin. If this unintentional geoengineer catastrophe is not our doomsday, then something else may be on the horizon. In Alita's world, the doomsday is an asteroid named Ixchel after the Mayan moon and water goddess, patron of childbirth. This is fitting for the symbolism of an asteroid penetrating Mother Earth and giving birth to something new. Ixchel is the consort of Itzamna, the Mayan lord of the heavens. Ixchel is sometimes depicted as an old woman with sharp claws, signaling destruction. This may be why we see a Mayan calendar symbol on Zapan's back, a reference to the end times or the fall. Although in Mayan traditions, 2012 marks the end of an age, but some can interpret it as a destruction while others see it simply as a transition. But the Mayans did believe in the idea of a destructive phases or periods. It seems that Yukito's picking both ideas, fitting it to the beginning of the space age, or ES55. Now, instead of an asteroid hitting East Asia, I think Yukito probably should have had it hitting America, for that's where the story takes place, but he wants to pander to the Japanese audience just as Hollywood likes to, destroy our landmarks. Now, I still think that the idea of a geocatastrophe being the catalyst to transitioning us into a Type 2 solar civilization is a little unrealistic. But hey, that wouldn't make a good story if an asteroid got its way and actually do what 9-mile wide asteroids do: create mass extinctions, not create mass technological evolution after a 71-year winter. Unless Yukito's got some alien AI vampires to save us, I think our chances of colonizing Venus in a few hundred years is looking a little sci-fi. But hey, it's a little more realistic than Star Wars, but I understand we shouldn't overthink entertainment. But I do agree with Yukito that the geocatastrophe may not be global warming, but actually a literal geocatastrophe. That will be our last straw. So there may be something worse than what global warming will look like in 100 years. And that something may be hinted by mystics, and that is the 3 days of darkness prophecy.
She says, God will ordain 2 punishments, one in the form of wars, revolutions, and other evils. These will originate on earth. The other will be sent from heaven. There will come over all the earth an intense darkness, lasting 3 days and 3 nights. Nothing will be visible, and the air will be laden with pestilence, which will claim principally, but not exclusively, the enemies of religion. Only blessed candles can be lighted and will afford illumination. All the enemies of the church, secret as well as known, will perish over the whole earth during that universal darkness, with the exception of a few whom God will soon after convert. The air shall be infected by demons, who will appear under all sorts of hideous forms. After the 3 days of darkness, St. Peter and St. Paul, having come down from heaven, will preach in the whole world and designate a new pope. A great light will flash from their bodies and will settle upon the cardinal, the future pontiff. Then Christianity will spread throughout the world. He is the holy pontiff, chosen by God to withstand the storm. At the end, he will have the gift of miracles, and his name shall be praised over the whole earth. End quote. Wow. There's a lot here, and if this is true, whoa, amazing. Now, this is private revelation, so no Catholic is obliged to believe this. In fact, you can reject it in good faith. This lady is not a saint. She is a blessed, so she has some approbation in the church. Many other saints and holy people have praised her and have been devoted to her. But this is what she claims she received from Jesus Christ. So that's Blessed Anna Maria Taiji. There are other holy people who have had prophecies regarding the 3 days of darkness. There's Saint Gaspar de Buffalo. He says this: the death of the impenitent persecutor of the church will take place during the 3 days of darkness. He who outlives the darkness and the fear of these 3 days will think that he is alone on earth, because the whole world will be covered with cadavers. Wow. Now, Saint Gaspar he was canonized in 1954, and he lived in the 1800s. So he lives somewhat after Blessed Anna Maria Taiji. We also have Blessed Mary of Jesus Crucified. She says, during a darkness lasting 3 days, the people given to evil will perish, so that only 1/4 of mankind will survive. And then we also have Venerable Isabel Canori Mora. She says, as soon as St. Peter, the Prince of the Apostles, had gathered the flock of Jesus Christ in a place of safety, he reascended into heaven accompanied by a legion of angels. Scarcely had they disappeared when the sky was covered with clouds so dense and dismal that it was impossible to look at them without dismay. On a sudden, there burst out a terrible and violent wind, and its noise sounded like roars of furious lions. The sound of furious hurricanes was heard over the whole earth. Fear and terror struck not only men, but the very beasts. So here we have darkness, but she doesn't mention the number 3. So this would, of course, conform to what we saw in the book of the Apocalypse. I also have another one here from someone who's not beatified. This is Marie de la Frodai. She says, there will come 3 days of complete darkness. Only blessed candles made of wax will give some light during this horrible darkness. 1 candle will last 3 days. But they will not give light in the houses of the godless. Lightning will penetrate your houses, but it will not put out the blessed candles. Neither wind, nor storm, nor earthquake will put out the blessed candles. So, there are many of them. Now, a skeptic would say, well, all these prophecies and private revelations, they pretty much do begin in the 1800s. And it seems that Blessed Maria Anna Taiji is the first one to give such a clear and articulate prophecy that there will be 3 days of darkness. It will kill the ungodly, and only blessed candles will light during the 3 days of darkness. Now, is this for real? I don't know.
As a Catholic, I don't know what to make of this either until more confirmation is given by the Vatican, the custodians of Eden. For all we know, maybe this is just a ploy to sell more candles, but I highly doubt it. And it doesn't hurt to have an insurance policy by buying those blessed candles and keeping yourself in a state of grace as much as possible. But I think I know what that darkness could be. I don't think it's just a metaphor or symbolic, because it's happened in Eden, aka Egypt, during the Exodus. It was the supermassive volcano, the Thera eruption at Santorini, that was the catalyst for the Exodus, and the supernatural follows the natural. So what transpired in Eden may transpire over the whole planet by a supermassive volcano like Yellowstone, something thousands of times larger than the recent Tonga eruption. So basically what happened in the Exodus is a microcosm of what's to come over the whole planet. But I don't think it's the volcanic clouds that's causing the darkness. It wouldn't be able to cause complete darkness. This is just a cover for something more supernatural to come in. Now, I don't think Yukito is aware of this prophecy, but there is something in Alita that could symbolize this darkness, and that is Colonel Payne. Colonel Payne was an officer in charge of running the expendable toys, aka Boys Juvenile Infantry School on Leviathan 1. Keep in mind, Leviathan means snake or dragon. He would wear a black military hat bearing a symbol of an X, most likely a reference to Skull and Bone Society that the Nazis derived from partially. And the eye with the wings is a reference to the Egyptian Benheti, or the Aten meaning the hidden ones, a reference to the fiery nature of jinns referenced in Mars Chronicle, or angels and demons, hence the title Battle Angel. So Payne is a sadistic individual with no morals whatsoever. Payne would force children under his care to fight to the death. He indicates that he trains the children to help them experience the taste of ultimate freedom and richness of life. But too much freedom really is slavery. While Payne did not know Alita at all while he was alive, his spirit, or what Alita thought was his spirit, was actually a demon that would constantly haunt her after she contributed to his death. He would often belittle and mock her for trying to do the right thing, and often would encourage Alita to give up her struggles and to give up living. This is what demons want. They want you to commit suicide. Now, suicide's a big issue in Japan with the very well-known national forest around Mount Fuji, known as Suicide Forest. So it's natural that Yukito would bring up this issue. So the demon, or yokai in Japan, is trying to persuade Alita that she's not an angel, but a demon, using her past sins as justification. So this demon, whether Colonel Payne or not, is trying to get Alita's soul, for Alita's soul is far more tasty than Colonel Payne's soul, who is more than likely already in hell. If a demon can convert Alita to the dark side, that is far more appetizing. The equivalent would be like if a priest was turned into a pedophile. Turning a homeless man into a pedophile doesn't give a demon as much power, but turning a priest or someone of high ranking or power is more important to a demon. A character like Colonel Payne enjoyed gathering the bodies of child soldiers, for which Alita was one, and recovering their remains, and that could be used for cyborgs. So this is kind of a reference to organ harvesting issues that is kind of found in China. So it's possible that Yukito might be bringing this issue up. Alita is naturally disgusted by this, but the demonic spirit in the form of Payne wants Alita to give in to the enjoyment of pain. So Payne would continue to exist as a ghost through some unknown means. He recognizes the guilt and torment within Alita, and the reason why that Alita perceives him to know is mainly because this isn't Colonel Payne, this is a demonic spirit. So Colonel Payne acts like this phantom that recognizes the guilt and torment within Alita and appears within one of her nightmares, kind of like a demonic possession of sleep paralysis. So you could say that Alita was vulnerable to this demonic possession at this time. He would offer his services as temptations to teach and mentor and to guide Alita, at the same time mocking her for trying to be braver than she really was, while condemning her for surviving for so long. Payne states that she will never overcome her limitations and will always be known as simply as a ruthless killer, so he wants her to think that she deserves to die. However, Yukito is trying to bring up the idea of redemption here. Someone who was once lost from the 99 can be found again, even if you committed grave sins. This is why the Catholic Church condemns the death penalty. He offers to show Alita the reason for fighting and laughs while numerous bombs rain down behind him and explode. After Alita awakens from this nightmare or possession, Payne's ghost grins from within the shadows of the ruined buildings where she and Zazie are resting in. He continues to observe her while waiting for weakness once again. Now, how does this relate to the 3 days of darkness? Well, since ancient times, every major culture like Japan has understood that demonic spirits tend to manifest in an aura of dark, shadow-like electromagnetic energy, a mass of dark shadow that takes a silhouette human form as a way of deceiving people. So Payne manifests in this dark shadow-like figure. It's not just symbolic, this is actual real phenomenon that people have witnessed. In most cases, demonic spirits are limited on how large, where, and who and when they can manifest. So they prowl around the world seeking the ruin of souls to find some weakness in order to eat their soul, and ultimately to break into our dimension and cause chaos. With the poltergeist phenomenon, people have actually seen these dark shadow masses. Actually, my friend has claimed to see one when I had my little poltergeist experience at a school. And I'll put a reference to that video down below if you haven't seen it already. Sometimes it's referred to as shadow people, but they're really not people. There is evidence now in the 20th century to their existence due to video cameras. This is the first time in history that the supernatural is slowly starting to be unveiled, although still very rare. But the veil is starting to lift with the announcement on UAPs by the Pentagon. This is very historic. So there's a point in our future that there will be this tear in the veil, and that dark aura shadow of Satan, not your average demon, but of the ultimate demon, will spread over the whole planet and to break into our material world when the time is right. So when the veil is fully lifted, this is when the aura of Satan will spread over the whole planet, kind of like what's referenced in the Legend of Korra with Vaatu. So this is when the avatar of God, aka Jesus, the ultimate battle angel, has to come in to close that portal, to show his true power and mercy. There's this fallacy that yin and yang are equal. In reality, they're not equal. Good will always triumph over evil. There's not a balance between the two. This is why the saints or the mystics are referencing, 3 days, maybe 6 days, maybe a month. It's not like for thousands of years. It's a short time that they try to break in. But at the same time, God can't just ultimately save us and advance us into a type 3 civilization, okay? We have to make that decision, okay? And if we make bad decisions that end up leading to global climate change, global warming and destruction of the planet, then that's the inevitable demise, and that will lead to our extinction. And that is the period of weakness that demonic forces may try to break into our dimension fully, especially when people become more aware of the supernatural, when governments start to reveal evidence on it. So God has to come and harvest the remaining souls when our civilization reaches its peak. And many geopolitical scientists like Peter Zion and George Freeman and even MIT states that we are reaching our peak at about 2040, and then we're entering into an era of stagnation that could last for thousands of years and continue to lead to major climate change and the destruction of our civilization slowly. But there will be an ultimate Geo Catastrophe. So our apocalypse, meaning the unveiling of the supernatural, for the natural is really the unnatural. So we haven't reached this point yet, but maybe other planets have in the past, like Venus hundreds of millions of years ago, or thousands of light years away. Civilizations are going through this process, different periods of time in the galaxy. So civilizations may last for only about 10,000 years where they start to reach their peak. Some planets may reach type 2 before this unveiling happens, while others like ourselves may reach type 1.3. It all depends on the thousands of factors of the environmental deterministic factors and the actions of that species on that planet. But I would say we have about 3,000 years left until our Geo Catastrophe. This has been Enigma Seeker. Keep seeking those enigmas.
Enigma de Pravatio est. Enigma.